we're like, it's like a new tripod, and I've been using it like for vertical stuff with my cell phone, but I couldn't figure out how to pivot it.
Yeah.
This is a very awkward angle.
Well,
but hello.
We're here now.
We're here. We made it.
We're in our outbuilding, and we're having to clean it up because we have a lot of people coming here pretty soon. So, in an effort to make it more workable and less messy appearing, we're cleaning it up.
We made a video, like, I don't know, like a month ago?
Yeah.
Where it was like, we're going to clean up the outbuilding. Oh, the dried flower problem. That was what it was.
Yeah.
It was all about cleaning up the outbuilding because we're like, whoa, the outbuilding is a mess. And we need to clean it up for the new season. And we didn't get all the way through.
No, like, because we had this problem where we have all these dried flowers, but they have to be processed.
Well, we should do a tour.
Sure.
Here, you grab the camera. Show everyone what you've been doing. Ian's the one who's been hard at work today.
Well, we have been doing this. So, lots of different flower petal things for different purposes.
Here, we can show the purpose.
Yeah,
there was a couple ornaments sticking around.
All the ornaments are in the other room.
Oh, you like
I cleaned them.
Oh, okay.
So our Christmas ornaments, they eat up a lot of statice and, other dried flowers. And so, we dried a bunch and we're like, we don't really want to store it. Let's just process it so that it stores small. And then next winter, we have lots of supplies to make these because these sold well. So, we've come to the realization that, dried flower bouquets have a purpose. They sell, plus they also make the market stand look full when it's not full and help whatever the remaining, fresh bouquets sell. But other than that, dried flower bouquets are a bit tough to sell. And so they're probably...
Well, no, they sell, and they're not hard to sell, but they only sell where they sell.
Yeah.
And we're not a dried flower business, so there's only so many we need.
Yeah, and so we're going to focus on the stuff that works really well, like those fresh to dry bouquets that sold well last year and were easy, and then also the Christmas ornaments, and then enough dried flowers to kind of supply the stands need through the year.
But look at these that I found. Okay, look at this, guys. As we're like cleaning up, we're finding stuff. I think we made this for a video. So what these are is they're boutonnieres. I think we made these for
grad.
We made it for grad, and then we never got them done in time. So, because the idea was that we were going to have all these like little dried flower boutonnieres available that people could buy. And then they'd just be in the stand so people could buy them whenever they wanted. But, they look so pretty.
They did turn out nice.
I'm like, we should make more of these.
Yeah. Well, those could sell.
Yeah, totally. What I was thinking too for dried flowers is it would be good to make little bands of dried flowers so that you could like put it in your like hat. Right? All those like hats that are trendy with the brim.
Yeah, for sure.
You could have like a little hat decoration.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a friend who has a hat store that we could maybe sell wholesale to.
Good idea. Yeah, so, maybe less dried flowers this upcoming year. More concentrated on the exact ones that we know we need instead of every, single flower that we grow, trying to dry it pretty much. It just filled up the outbuilding a lot with, bulk. And so we had to process it before we could even...
Not everything is precious.
Yeah. We had to do a lot of, we have to do a lot of cleanup in here just to get all of the dried flower stuff sorted and processed and put away so that then we can clean up in here to get it ready for, 2023 craziness. Yeah, because it's getting
ready
close.
For seedlings, get it ready for tulips.
Our videos are going to be like a couple weeks behind.
I mean, they always
are.
are.
Yeah.
Here, should we put it back down?
Sure.
Or did you give the tour?
Well, that was the tour. Do you guys want to see some more?
Did you show them all the dried flowers?
Well, no, I showed them over here. the selection of process.
Ian only showed the work that he's done, not the work
It still has
to be done.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
all of those, and all of these, and all of these tables over here. Oh, thanks so much, Sarah. Thanks. That's very kind of you. Yeah, we have lots to do. That's why we were like, oh, we can do it live in the outbuilding.
Well, processing.
Yeah.
Or
maybe. I'm like, what is there to do?
I know. Well, there's also this table over here.
Someone saying heat wave in upper Midwest. Ian's mom. It was your mom who was saying it was hot, right? Or you just saw the
No, I just saw it online.
Oh.
Yeah, in Ontario, which is Great Lakes in Canada region. Yeah, it's supposed to be like mid-20s Celsius. I don't know. That's probably what, 70 or something like that? In Fahrenheit? I don't know exactly. But the eucalyptus, there's probably a bunch of eucalyptus that survived.
We don't know.
But it'll probably grow back in like start in a month or so.
Yeah. Things are really slow. Only a few of our earliest perennials have started to show any sort of sign. It's been really cold. We're like 3 weeks later than normal.
But it's also been really dry, so it's like stuff just isn't. Yeah, but it's drier than normal, so stuff just wasn't even like waking up. We got a little bit of rain this week, so things were actually greening up out there. The first bit of green we've seen this year. The grass is all like, oh yeah.
I think I figured out how to tilt this.
Okay, guys, you're going for a ride.
No. There's a million knobs, and none of them. It seems like one. Oh, this doesn't look like a knob, but it actually is.
Oh yeah, I see it there. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we got the tilt.
Okay, so now we can go.
Now we can get less awkward. It's still awkward.
Now we're sideways.
Okay. Sorry, I know this is very annoying.
Yeah.
But it'll drive me crazy because it's really hard to see the screen. Okay. Now there we go.
But it's like
What?
it's like that. It's like that. See, look, you see that line? Oh.
What, it's moving? No, it's because it's still rattling. I bought a very cheap, very lightweight tripod.
It's nice to have something that's
We
not expensive.
We have
everything costs so much money.
We have 3 tripods that work with the cell phone because we do the live videos on the cell phone. With 3 tripods that work with the cell phone, and then we have 2 high quality heavy metal tripods.
No. That one?
Yeah,
that one's not high quality. That one broke. It broke. How
It's a pretty good. I mean, what is it?
This is low quality, but it was very functional. But now
This is low quality.
No,
this is low. Yeah.
I'll show everybody what's wrong with this one. Because there's this one, right? This is our
They
camera.
all break. Everything's garbage, right? This was higher quality.
Oh yeah, and it's cool because you can do like woo, you can do that or all these different shots.
This has been a good.
But the problem is it does this and this doesn't lock anymore. So this spins. So sometimes I'll set it up and then the shot will like like if it's at some weird angle.
So yeah, I would leave it unlocked so that I can quickly spin it.
No, because it broke.
Well, I wouldn't have known that it was broken because I would have never locked it. Okay, whatever. You guys don't care about us complaining about tripods. Okay, get some stuff and then we can work.
Okay.
Right? You get it set up. Okay, so someone was asking if we use some sort of fungicide on our Lysianthus plugs to prevent fusarium. And the answer is no, because we don't actually use.
Move the camera back.
Well, we can't do it on the table with the camera because the tripod's too cheap and the table will rattle and then it'll be like this the whole time. So we need like another table.
We didn't think.
I know we were very unorganized. We were like, oh, we haven't done a live video in forever. We should do one. And apparently we're out of practice. We don't know how to do them anymore.
Or this is exactly how we always do.
Yeah, true. This is an accurate look at what our life is like. Very unorganized. Okay, so we don't use anything. We don't use any sort of pesticides. And we don't use any sort of fungicides at all. We do use some fertilizers, but like we don't even really use very much fertilizer. We just oh, I'm like, oh, it's gonna fall. Ian's rolling things around. Here, let's turn it and you can watch. You can watch Ian work.
We need to use that table, but
okay, we can get somewhere else that the tripod can go on, or we can put the tripod on the other table. We have like 8 tables and 1 million rolling racks and 100,000 dried flowers in here. This is our problem. This is why we need to clean it up. Okay, so we don't actually use anything. And the reason why we don't use anything is because we don't want to work with those. No.
Look how tall it can be.
Okay. Okay. Where Ian's. Okay. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pop it out, and then I'll answer. Oh, and I'll show you guys our whole other room of dried flowers. Well, I talk about not using any sort of chemicals. Okay. So one of the things that we decided early on when we started the farm was that we didn't want to use things like fungicides and pesticides. And so because of that, we have a certain allowance for things to get destroyed by pests and for things to get destroyed by funguses. So with the Lisianthus, Fusarium is 100%. It's something that we deal with. We don't have to deal with it too much because it's very dry where we are. So the only time we really have here, spin, get some more dried flowers. Dried flowers everywhere. I'll show you guys the dried flowers after. So we do get some Fusarium. The thing that makes because it's everywhere. It's in our soil. It's it's mold, right? It's we have it on our property. So when the conditions are right and when it's a plant that's susceptible to it, like Lisianthus, we can for sure get infected with it. And then the Lisianthus plugs, like when you get them from a greenhouse, I'm sure they're using fungicides to prevent the Fusarium, because they would be grown in these like really high intensity situations where it's just high humidity, high heat, just perfect conditions for the Fusarium to come in. And then, so the only time we really struggle with the Fusarium here on the farm is when we do cooler weather growing, and then often in the greenhouses, right? And so it's happening because the Fusarium really likes the cooler weather. It thrives in that. Once the heat comes, it kind of kills off some of it. And then it really likes the lack of airflow and the high humidity that happens inside of our tunnels. So the Lisianthus plugs, because we've had them for like a long time now. They came in like the first week of March or the second week of March. So I've had them here for over a month. We got them planted last week. What? You almost got it there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to show the dried flowers in there first before. So we've had a little bit of Fusarium come and take out the Lisianthus in the trays as they were waiting for me to finally plant them out. And then in the greenhouse, I was looking at it the other day, and we have a small patch of the Fusarium that has gotten into the greenhouse. And so what I do to deal with it is, as soon as I see that it's happening, I remove those plants as quickly as possible to keep it from spreading. But yeah, like we could use these fungicides to prevent it, but instead we allow for some losses. We cross our fingers that we're never going to have a complete crop loss, but we're diversified enough, right? If we lost every single one of our Lisianthus plugs to Fusarium, it's fine. We're not a Lisianthus farm. We'd still be able to have bouquets all year. We just wouldn't have Lisianthus that year. But yeah, so we don't do any of that. And then it's the same with the bugs. We have some crops that we lose to bugs rather than doing pesticides. And like last year, what was, so we really didn't want to do any sort of pesticides on food. What was Ian, do you remember what the pesticide was that we used last year that we tried? Or like dormant oil or something? We had like an aphid infestation on our yarrow. That was so bad. We had like 2 beds of yarrows. We had like 800 plants that were so covered. It was like really bad. It was bad enough that I was concerned. The yarrow was right in beside the sedum, and the sedum can get attacked by the aphids. We find into the late fall. We get the aphids that get into the sedum, and then at that point I'm just like, whatever, I guess we're not using it anymore. But I was pretty bummed. It was early in the season. I wanted to get the aphids under control. And so our local farm store recommended that we try something called like dormant oil, which is a pesticide. It's not a great one because it kills everything, because it just coats them with an oil, and then it causes them to die. And it's also not like super effective. So we gave a spray on the aphids, and we kind of were like, it maybe did something, but we're also like, we should have just cut all the aphid. We should have cut all the yarrow plants down and like gone and like fed it to the neighbor's chickens and just got rid of the aphids that way. That was always our plan for how to deal with bugs, like none of this pesticide stuff, and so like experimenting with like one of the like more like less scary pesticides kind of just had us being like, yeah, no, like, like who cares, right? Like losing a single crop is like, that's the worst case scenario, to lose an entire crop, to lose 2 full beds. And even then, losing 2 full beds of anything on the farm isn't going to make or break it for us. So, it's we're back to doing nothing. And then because we do nothing, eventually things reach kind of a balance, because there's good bugs and bad bugs. And because of the like selling these like market bouquets instead of doing weddings and things like that, we've always been 100% willing to sell flowers that will have, like a bug has eaten a hole in a petal. Like they don't need to be absolutely perfect. The flowers just need to be beautiful, right? So we've developed our customers to match our growing. So that's our whole thing. That's our whole thing about pesticides and fungicides. Okay, here, I want to show you guys. I'm gonna flip the camera. Oh no, that didn't work. Oh, here we go. I just have 8,000 cameras on this. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Is that? I don't know. I don't know how. I have a new phone and has like 5 cameras. And so I was flipping the like flip the camera button, but I wasn't doing anything. So I'll point it this way. Okay, so this is like, so before we started doing the cleanup, I grabbed all these flowers. So I have these 3 buckets here, and I wanted to show it off to you guys. Sorry, this is very awkward. But so this, and there we go. It's looking very pink. But what these, okay, bad camera work. What these flowers are is we're gonna do another dried flower installation inside of our little, losing my mind, roadside stand. We're gonna switch out the dried flower installation that's currently in there, and we're gonna put in a new one. And the colors that I'm gonna do this year is I'm gonna do like whites and blues and a little bit of pinks. And so I have like buckets and buckets, right? Like there we go. That's everything that I have to work with. I have like 1,000 dried flower stems that I've saved up, that I'm really excited to do a really fun and decadent design with. Right? What are you? Yeah. What phone has 5 cameras and why? That was kind of my question. What is my phone? I got a new phone this year.
S11 maybe?
Yeah, it's like the newest Samsung. I don't know. It's a newer Samsung.
And they have like fisheye lens.
Yeah, like the back of the camera has like a space this big. The phone is also like this big. It's like the size of It's like a tablet, which is part of the reason why I bought it, so that I could do all my TV. Well, okay. I guess the camera needs to be. I'm sorry, guys. We got it back on this wobbly track.
We'll put
It needs to be closer so that we can hear. Okay.
So we can see the comments.
Yeah, we need to be able to see the camera, and then you guys need to be able to hear us. But now we have to. Okay. I don't know. Is this?
Well, that looks a little bit crooked.
I apologize. S21? Is that? I don't know. No, I think it because it's like one of their. It's like one of their like main ones. Who knows?
There's really
There's no way to know.
I think that maybe your concept of a new phone is different from the product cycle of new phones.
This is true.
Yeah. It is a nice phone though, and it does take good pictures.
It was expensive. I was like, I don't know if I can buy it. I can spend a lot of money on like flowers and plants, but non-farm tools, it's hard for me to spend money on.
But it is a tool because we are content creators,
I guess.
according to your passport application.
Yeah. Ian, so when we got, because we went to Mexico this year and we had lost our passport, like, or our passports had expired. We hadn't lost it. Yeah, that's the wrong word. And so we needed to get new passports. We had to fill in our passport application forms. And on your passport application form, you have to like say what your job is. And so I was like, oh no, it wasn't content creator. I said I was an influencer.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ian, that like makes Ian's skin crawl.
I actually was like, oh, is this passport associated with anyone else in the household? No, this passport is not associated.
Ian's like, I don't actually know anyone who is an influencer, so. But yeah, so I said I was an influencer on my passport, and Ian was embarrassed for me.
Yeah, I blushed. No one was around, but
I did it also to like.
Yeah, you did it to bug.
I did it to bug him.
And because you don't care, Serina, you have no shame.
Yes, that is true. Clinically diagnosed with a lack of shame.
That's part of the reason that you can, have a YouTube channel and talk about, good things,
About
bad
how messy
things.
your outbuilding is?
Yeah, because you have no shame.
Okay,
You'd be less entertaining with shame, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'd be more relatable. What do you guys think? Do I come across as shameless? We'll do a poll. We'll do a poll. Do you think that I am shameless? Okay, so I don't know. Do we want to do questions?
Sure.
Someone says yes. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions. Oh, you know what we can tell them about? We can tell them about after I said that it was hard for me to spend money on a cell phone.
We just bought a bunch of peonies. Is that what you're talking about?
We tell them about the peony purchase.
Almost a 5-figure peony purchase.
Oh, it's definitely. Oh yeah, no, it will be 5 figures with shipping.
That's a lot of peonies.
That's a lot of peonies.
It's
also not a lot of peonies for $10,000. Okay, so we put in an order today for $10,000 worth of peony roots that will come in the fall, which is a lot of money to spend on peonies.
Yeah, but
how many did I order? 800, I think.
Yeah,
we ordered 800 peonies, and it was like, couple $100 under $10,000. But we ordered them from the same place that we ordered the peonies that we showed in the winter from, and so we ordered.
We ordered a lot of good stuff.
It's hard to do this and to look. So we ordered Sorry, the chat always distracts me. This is what
maybe
makes
tilt it up just a little bit,
I know.
so that everybody can see my wonderful face.
That's what they're here for. They came because they saw Ian in the thumbnail. Yeah, okay, so we bought peonies last year. We bought 350 peonies last year. And they were from Unicorn Blooms, and then they were from Van Noort. And so the Unicorn Blooms ones were like on average $15 a root. And the Van Noort peony roots were $2 each. The Van Noort ones were like...
Are we keeping any of this? This is all too short, right?
Well, you said that you're just going to do it anyway, so
yeah.
I
like
figured
something
I didn't...
like this, you're never going to...
I mean, I wasn't going to break it down, but you told me that you were doing it, so it's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Van Noort roots were like this big. This is like the size of a Van Noort peony for $2. And then the Unicorn Blooms ones were like this big for like $15. They were massive and beautiful. And so us being able to buy 7 for the same price as 1 is one of those math things where it doesn't make sense. You think the cheaper ones would make more sense. But the big ones mean that, so peonies, when you plant them, you're not supposed to pick flowers. You're not supposed to cut flowers to sell off of them for at least 3 years. And the reason is because you need to get the root and the plant established, and you want the energy not going to the flower, but the energy going to the roots in the ground, so that you'll have happy, healthy plants that will produce more flowers in the long run than if you picked 1 or 2 off of them in those first couple of years. But because the Unicorn Bloom peony roots were so big, they're these big, massive plants, it's like we've already bought like a year or 2 years worth of time. So if the Van Noort ones, we pick 0 blooms off them for 3 years, but these Unicorn Bloom ones, we end up being able to start picking on them on year.
This year.
No, not this year.
Well,
Ian keeps being like, "Oh, we'll let them," and I'm like,
"Some of them.
No, we're not going to let any of them bloom because of money."
Well, what are you?
I'm not a content farm. I'm a peony farm, and we're going to do it properly.
No, not.
We'll see.
We can just leave it to you.
We'll see. Maybe like 1.
Product testing.
Like one bloom on each of the plants on the front of the row, like 6 blooms. But yeah, so if we can end up picking off of it a year earlier, let's say that we end up letting it bloom like we pick on it on year 3 instead of picking on it on year 4, and we can cut 4 flowers because they're these big, beautiful plants. In a peony, we can sell it retail. We've been selling our peonies retail for $5, but I was talking to other flower farmers and they were saying they're selling them wholesale for $4. So we've definitely potentially been selling them for a really good deal. But even so, right? Like if we sold it retail for $5 and we get 4 per plant, that's $20, and it's more than it paid for itself. With only more money to be made in the years to come, right?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So yeah. That's the reason why we bought a lot of these expensive peonies.
They're worth a lot, and they're desirable from the customer's point of view. So I don't know what I'm gonna do.
No, you can't mix the colors.
I'm mixing the colors.
Ian's distracted.
I started literally the moment I started talking, my brain just went blank, and as it's like, oh, you can't do 2 things at once.
We apparently can't. I mean, this is triple tasking because I'm trying to read the chat and I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to use my hands at once. Mm-hmm. There's a limit.
Maybe we should drop we can work and then we should just hang out.
Maybe.
Because
we can always do this later.
We do this later.
Okay, so there was a question that I saw, because we haven't been looking at this, but we'll start. Okay, we're going to start looking at the chat. So start putting your questions in. And maybe let's get more comfortable.
More comfortable than this?
Yeah.
Standing at a table?
Yeah, like maybe let's get, like, you get the couch.
How about we have 2 chairs? Because the chairs are...
Okay, mini chairs. Okay,
I actually like the mini chair.
we're gonna get more comfortable. Oh, I like the mini chair. I wanted the mini chair. We have these like children's chairs that my mom bought from Costco that like probably should be made for adults because they're like the perfect chair.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, you don't realize how comfortable it is to okay, how long ago did the ranunculus get in the ground? Okay, Ian.
I don't know, a couple weeks. I don't remember exactly. 3 weeks ago?
No, I don't
2
think.
weeks ago?
No, I think it's more like 2 weeks.
Because
how long
before
ago?
I went back to Ontario, right?
Okay, so the video that we put
you know
out.
what we could do too.
What?
We could go do a farm tour.
Maybe it's raining out.
Is it still raining out though?
Yeah, it's raining. Okay, so the video that we made, that just came out was filmed in like the 3rd week of March. So even more, like
And that was
like
when we
3
were
weeks
planting
ago.
ranunculus.
Was it?
Yeah. Because
We started planting the ranunculus. So they've probably been in the ground for 2 weeks now.
At least.
That makes sense. Yeah. And then the video that I'm working on, which is going to come out on Friday, that was the end of March.
Was it?
Yeah, like it was the end of March until...
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was during spring break.
Okay.
For the kids.
Somebody asked what the status is for. That's for Christmas ornaments. We're using these clear plastic balls.
Yeah, we showed them at the beginning.
I know, but people come and they go, right? Somebody asked...
Let's see. Someone was asking
There's
like...
a couple quick ones there. Bees. We don't have bees, but our neighbors have bees, and then they give us honey, so it's like...
wild. And there's like wild. There's wild bees. Also, like when you grow flowers, you don't actually need pollinators, because if your flowers get pollinated, that just causes like worse vase life. So, top 3 books for new Canadian flower farmers. Well, you just need one. You need no. The Flower Farmer by Lynn Basinski. That's, get that, and then from there you'll figure out like where you want to go in your journey. For having trouble germinating, status could be high temperature. Yeah, they need cooler weather to germinate.
Looks like one of our neighbors is going to grow more flowers this year. It says we gave them bugs.
What? I don't know. I don't like what you're saying doesn't make sense. Clearly. Did anyone else get Ian's joke? Yeah, no, like a bunch of the cool weather crops need cool conditions to germinate. So anything that's like a cool flower, anything that would normally like overwinter and then germinate, like from like self-seeding, those type of things, if you put them on heat mats, they'll have issues germinating because they don't what are you doing?
I'm just checking to see if it's raining.
They don't germinate at the higher temperatures. They need the cool temperatures. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, like, because you think like from some of the gardening advice, you'd think like, oh, you just like put everything on a heat mat. But there's lots of stuff that if you put it on a heat mat, it won't germinate ever. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like it's only when you take it off the heat mat and cool it down that it'll germinate. And same, like a lot of these like cooler flowers, they grow best in the cool temperatures. Yeah. So like, status, straw flowers, feverfew.
Your Bells of Ireland.
Bells of Ireland. Oh, there was a question that I saw before. That's a good one. All that kind of stuff.
Oh, some people got my joke.
2 people got your joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those cool weather crops. If you try to start them with heat, you'll have a lot of issues. Same with like larkspur, buplurum, saponaria, those kind of things. We're going to be planting outside this week. They do best if they get some stuff outside. Okay. Like I'm super blind. Like we need this
closer.
I
can't.
Bring
it down a little bit too.
Part of it is like we haven't really done very many live videos on this cell phone, and so part of it is I think that the camera is zoomed in more.
3 people got my joke.
Yeah, there you go. 3 people. You're almost at 1%, Ian, of people getting your joke. Okay, let's see. Do you cut them down so they don't bloom first year? Peonies?
Probably.
I guess. So what you do with peonies is you take the bud off. They call it disbudding. They also call it disbudding. Lots of peonies have like a cluster of buds, and so then you have to disbud them, which is you take it so there's only one bud, so there's only one flower.
Seems cruel.
Or
like even when they're healthy, like and they're
because then it's like one big flower.
Yeah.
Because if you cut it, they like if you're gonna let them flower in your garden, you don't want to disbud them because that's how you get like a long-term showing. Because the first one opens and then the next one opens, right? And so it flowers for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you're cutting them, they're not going to open in the vase. So you want to take the other buds off when it's developing. So the one flower is going to be like way bigger.
Do you have the chat hidden? Is that what the little arrow means?
I don't think so. Maybe. Okay, let's see. When you say you don't cut blooms from peonies for 3 years, do you cut the buds off for 3 years? Yes.
Do you want me to do that?
What?
To answer that question?
Sure.
Yes.
Because that's what I was just saying. Yeah, no, and like so you do actually have to put some labor into preventing them from, and you need to do it. It's not like, oh, it's about to bloom, so I better cut it off. You want, the sooner you cut off the bud, the better.
So somebody asking about how we run. So here's how we do things. One person can be working outside on the farm. One person can be inside the house, doing
editing videos,
doing house stuff, looking after the kids, whatever it is. And then somebody who's like the person who's working outside is like, I got my stuff done. They go inside.
Then we tag. Tagged off.
And then
relay style.
So the reality is, someone can always be working outside. Somebody can be working inside. Sometimes, everybody comes outside.
Like Ian does the day shift, and then I do the night shift.
And then, so that's in general how we do things. I didn't see any of those questions.
Okay. I'm like, I can't see anything. Part of it, I think my glasses are just really dirty.
They usually are.
I have like these like floaties in my eyes that make it so there's like...
Oh, the video that we created. So our documentary, it's going to be released on TELUS, Optic TV or something.
This person was saying that we're very self-disciplined and organized.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that. So the documentary, if you're in Canada and you have TELUS, you can go check it out on Optic TV, probably in a couple months. But if not, you got to wait till next year when we can post it on our channel.
We don't know when we can post it. Is the issue.
Yeah.
We can't post it until they post it, and they didn't tell us when they're going to post it. So we can't give you a specific date.
We also finished it, and then we're like, okay.
Then we're like, on to the next video.
Every time we make a video, it's a lot to make a video. That documentary was substantially more than just making a YouTube video. But, to make a high quality YouTube video is a lot of work. And then you get it done and you're like, I don't want to see that again for a little while. And it just disappears from your mind. And all of a sudden now you're like looking at the footage for the next video and, you're back to the start of that one. And it kind of just never ends.
Okay, someone's asking if their ranunculus are going to go dormant because their weather's heating up to 70. That feels like...
It doesn't seem like it's too hot.
That doesn't feel like it's too hot. But if you have the ability to get shade cloth over your ranunculus, that's how we're able to kind of extend our season on them. We were really cold last year, and that's why we had like the most... You will never have a year for ranunculus like last year. Last year was like...
We'll never say never.
I'm not planning. If it happens again, I'll be like, oh, thank you, universe, what a gift. But that wasn't normal. Normal is if we have them out of the field, it needs shade cloth over it. Normal is the weather heats up and they stop blooming. Ours stopped blooming because they bloomed themselves out.
Yeah,
which is like they're like, whoa,
I'm spent.
Yeah, which is like. incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have shade cloth, that'll help because that'll bring down the temperature even though it's warmer.
Somebody said that they like the name of our channel, so I'm going to tell the quick origin story of the name of You Can't Eat the Grass. Before we moved to the farm, we lived kind of...
Sorry, someone's asking if what's the fabric called?
Shade cloth?
No, not the shade cloth, but
Landscape fabric?
No, not the landscape fabric. The
insect netting?
No, the other one.
Um,
They called it egg 15, but what's the other common word for it? Like
support
frost
stuff?
cloth or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but no, that is definitely not shade cloth because the thing that shade cloth does that doesn't is the shade cloth is like 100% breathable. It's very much like an open net material. So the shade cloth blocks a lot of the sun without holding the heat in. The egg 15 fabric, which it's like the word is just like on the tip of my tongue that people always call it. But that is great because it holds heat in. It can create a little bit of shade, but it's going to hold in more heat. Yeah, row cover. That's it. Thank you. So yeah, I would not do that. That would probably make your situation worse.
Yeah. So before we moved to the farm, we lived downtown and we just had like a normal suburban house. It was built in like 1961 or something. And we were those weirdos who like tried to maximize every bit of garden space that we could. So we tore up all the grass in our front yard, and our neighbors would come by and be like, "What are you guys doing? You know, why aren't you?"
We had a sidewalk that was like it was a really popular like walking road.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of people would like walk their dogs and go for walks.
And so, you know, we'd be out there working. Most of our neighbors would be out front drinking.
No,
they'd have like patios.
No,
a bunch of our neighbors did.
The people who asked were like random people.
Yeah, like
they weren't our neighbors. It was like
because our neighbors would too.
Okay, I'm taking over the story because Ian apparently has forgotten what happened because in his mind
maybe
we had many neighbors who had patios in their front yard when no one had a patio in their front yard.
Our neighbors did.
No, none of
the people across on the corner.
No,
they used to hang out in front.
Yes, but they didn't have like a patio out there. There was one guy who was an alcoholic who would like be sitting on his front stairs having beers, we assume because he got kicked out of the house by his wife, and then he'd come over and talk. But everyone else we were the ones who were like had a patio in our front yard, and everyone else who was talking to us was people who were like walking their dogs. They weren't like our neighbors. It was like, because it was constant. It was like, what are you doing? What do you do? Like, because it was so weird what we were doing that everyone who walked by wanted to ask us what we were doing.
And then we
would say,
what would we say again?
You can't eat the grass.
Oh, that's right, the name of the channel.
They'd be like, what are you doing? Taking your lawn out?
You can't eat the grass, so it has to go.
Yeah.
And be replaced with veggies. Or at least herb garden for cocktails.
Yeah, or mulch so that our maple tree didn't have to compete with grass.
Yeah. Then we had like some raised beds that we were growing. We tried to grow lettuce and stuff.
Our entire front yard was just like a mass of. We had this like 50-year-old maple tree, which was beautiful, and gorgeous. But it had like the entire front yard was just maple tree roots. And whoever had owned the place before us apparently like watered their lawn like every day. Because when we moved in, the maple tree was like, oh, like, you're not watering me. We're like, you're a 50-year-old maple tree 3 blocks from a lake. Right? Like,
Figure it out.
Like, what do you mean?
Figure it out.
What do you mean you need to be watered? Like, I'm pretty sure those roots need to go down instead of, like, across the surface.
Yeah.
So,
we had a little battle with it for a bit.
It had a few rough years before I could figure out where to go. But yeah, those raised bed boxes, we built them because it was just like you couldn't dig. It was just maple tree roots. So we built it thinking, oh, now we can grow something on top of the roots. But like a year later, the maple tree roots had all water up here. And we're like, well, so much for that. Okay, let's see. Planning on selling seedlings this year. Can I move cool flowers outside now to plug trays rather than planting in ground?
It depends on where you are.
The question's a little confusing because you framed it with saying that you're having a seedling sale. So it's confusing because it's like, yeah, for sure, you can plant.
Clarify.
You can plant cool weather crops outside when it's cool, and so you can keep cool weather crops like outside. Like we're still getting, we have some like -3 coming up in the next couple days, but after that, like all of our cool weather stuff is going to be outside as long as it doesn't freeze at night. We're going to have the seedlings outside it's just easier to take care of them that way. But if you're having a seedling sale, you're selling cool weather crops, that's kind of tricky because you want to plant them when it's cool out. So you basically, you want people to be buying them sooner than later because they'll not do as well. So the cool weather crops, if you normally like have like a seedling sale that's at Mother's Day and people buy all their warm weather crops at the same time, maybe you want to scale back in future years on how many cool weather crops you do, or you could try doing like an April seedling sale of cool weather crops.
May
seedling
the
sale
best
of
way
warm
to make
crops.
money doing like a nursery sale would be
What?
start your tomatoes so early, like ridiculously early, and then start advertising like early April, March or something, and just start selling them, and then everybody's gonna kill them because if you're buying seedlings in March or April, you're not going to be able to keep them alive.
This isn't actually a really real thing, and he doesn't actually believe this. He's just making a joke.
I don't actually believe that it's. I don't believe that it's not a bad idea. If you wanted to just purely make money, it's kind of immoral, so I wouldn't do it. But it is funny because people are looking to buy tomatoes.
If you guys go
so
back,
early.
We have like a bunch of videos about seedling sales because we used to do this massive seedling sale. So we do have some videos that you can go back and watch, like where we kind of break down numbers and we talk about things. Yeah. But like we'd have people contacting us like March 1st, like,
I need my tomatoes.
Like, do you have any tomatoes? And we're like, yeah, but like,
you're not allowed to take them yet.
Like what? Like, do you have a greenhouse? Like, why do you want them? They're like, no, I'm gonna plant them outside. And I'm like, they're gonna die, so like, why not just make me take care of them for the same price?
Yeah, and so the beauty of my idea is that you get all the demand when nobody else is selling, right? So you'd have the market cornered, and then you could sell them the same thing twice, right? So every customer could be a double customer.
But not actually. This isn't actually good advice. This is bad advice.
But I framed it in a way that it sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, here. This is a question. That's fun. Okay. What is your favorite farm task and least favorite farm task? I'll start with my least favorite one.
I know my
because
favorite.
it's on theme with this, and it makes a lot of sense for what you did all day today. Yeah. So my least favorite farm task is cleaning up the outbuilding after I make a big mess with flowers in it.
I don't mind that. I don't mind cleaning.
I know, Ian will. So I'll make a big mess. I'll do all like the flower arranging, and I just throw everything on the floor. And I kind of don't mind it on the floor because then it's like an anti-fatigue mat. I just stand on this soft
pile. It's kind of fun walking
of
on flowers.
Yeah,
especially pretty ones.
And then Ian will like come in, like I'll make a mess all weekend, and then Ian will come in on Monday and be like, oh, I gotta sweep all this up, and then I like come back and I'm like, oh, it's like the magic, like the fairies came and made me shoes in the night.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your least favorite?
Oh, this one's easy. I'm surprised you didn't say it.
Oh, it's been anything involving bending over.
No, accounting.
Oh.
All the like reporting, accounting stuff that we have to do.
Yeah, we both hate that task.
Yeah.
That's why we're very bad at it.
We
could have so many more write-offs if only we cared enough to track things to write off.
My favorite is obvious.
Selling at the farmer's market.
Well, it's farm task, I guess. My favorite.
If accounting is a farm task.
Accounting is a farm task.
Okay, well, what's your least favorite, like, that is like an actual on the farm one?
I don't know. Accounting showed up right away.
Okay, my guess is crawling around on your hands and knees planting seedlings because you don't do it.
Well,
because
yeah,
it's physically
that's more
difficult.
because it's tough for me. But it is closely related. When we used to have to bring out all the trays for watering when we were doing the nursery sale, because
the hauling out 200 trays in the morning and then hauling 200 trays in at night because it was going to freeze
it took
overnight.
so long. And I know that this sounds silly, but being like bent over when you're not, like I'm muscular but I'm not flexible, and so it's kind of like if I'm doing it for hours and hours, I'm not able to breathe really well, and I start feeling like sick in all sorts of ways. And when we are doing it one year, I think I had like low oxygen levels for too long, and I felt really bad for like a day. I remember. So
we'd have to test this theory. We'd have to like hook you up to an oxygen measure thing.
So that would be bending over stuff, just not really.
This is a great example of, so I can bend over all day. Like me, like if my back is bothering me, I like bend over and like fold in half, and it like stretches out my back, and I feel like better. And I can very comfortably be crawling around on my hands and knees and all that kind of work that I do. That's like physically comfortable for me to do. But for Ian, he thinks he's like dying when he does it, right? It's like, and like for Ian, if he was to crawl around for 2 hours on his hands and knees, just let me make my point. If he crawled around for 2 hours on his hands and knees doing seedlings, he'd be like done for the day. It would like wear him out because it would be like so physical that he'd be like, oh, I like need to go take a nap after that. Whereas for me, I can comfortably do it all day. But Ian, like the rake. A rake is the perfect example of like a tool that does not work for my body. Like the fulcrum angle of like how long a rake is and how short I am, and like arm muscles, the way they are angled. Like I rake something for like a minute and I like feel like I'm gonna die. Whereas Ian could spend the entire day raking and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, but favorite.
I'm surprised you didn't get this. Anytime I got.
Why is it selling?
Yeah, digging.
Really? If you had the choice of digging holes for a day or going to the farmer's market.
Well, I'd rather go to the farmer's market.
Well,
but it seems like that's not an on-farm task. But
you counted accounting, but you won't count going to the farmer's market.
That's part of the farm business. I just like digging. I just get lost in it.
Okay, what's my favorite? Oh, I know. Buying things.
But you know what else?
Buying things for the farm.
I also really like weeding. If I could just like weed all day, that'd be like a happy day for me. Serina's like, you know what, today you just go outside and you just make everything look good and pull up all those weeds get that tap root all the way out. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, I'll take care of the kids, you just go do your weeding.
It's never gonna happen.
And the wheel hoe's fun too to do it.
Yeah, no, the wheel hoe is good.
And it looks so good afterwards.
Okay, what's my favorite farm task?
You like harvesting abundance.
Oh yeah. Wait, like getting like a mountain of stuff?
Yeah.
Harvesting like one of something is like, yeah, sure. But like harvesting like 10,000 and then having 10,000 mounded up, that's fun.
That looks good, right?
Yeah.
That was how we got internet famous. Because we like took pictures of like, oh, here's all of our garlic.
Yeah, I guess.
Trying to make big piles of the food that we grew.
Yeah, because we like would take Instagram pictures where we'd like hold all of everything.
Yeah.
I stopped the chat, so. Okay. Did you have floral experience prior to starting your farm? Okay, you scroll through and find the next question. I'll answer that. No, and there's like, so you have to scroll.
I know, but I have to look first.
So there's a funny story for that, and if you press that button, it'll just take it to the bottom. So
okay.
Press that button. Here, that's a question.
I know, that's why I'm leaving it.
Okay. So I had no flower experience, and actually I like would never in my life have even thought of growing flowers as like a farm idea. I ended up in like, I don't know how, but I got like brought into like a group chat of like
on Instagram
of like other people who like, they weren't even like, some of them were farmers. I don't know. I forget. I don't know how I got into this group, and I don't know why I got into this group, but someone invited me into a group chat of other Instagram people, and a bunch of them were flower farmers. And so I ended up being able to be this like fly on the wall for like all of these like flower farmer behind the scene conversations. And like I found it super fascinating. And like the numbers are interesting about flower farming, right? Like that's why a bunch of people always have lots of questions about it, because it's like the stuff sells for a lot of money compared to veggies.
Like you look at how much money we can make out of some of the beds and what we can grow, and then you think about what you can make growing food in that same bed, and it's like the difference is insane.
Yeah.
So people can grow in very small scales with flowers and still bring in enough money. So it's like
grow 100,000 flowers for $1, make $100,000. It's like it's easy to grow 100,000 of something. Yeah. But so I was in this internet conversation, and I was like, oh, flowers, okay. And then we started the farm, and we actually, the first thing we thought about doing with the farm was to be a peony farm, like only grow peonies. Yeah. And like it was the best business plan out of any of the business plans that we like considered.
Except it made for boring content.
Well, the reason that isn't why. The reason why we didn't do it is because of what I was saying about the pesticides and fungicides at the beginning of the video. We knew we didn't want to be using those types of chemicals because we didn't want to be working with them. And to grow like a heavy intensity cash crop of peonies, the peonies are at risk of getting fungal infections, and if they get fungal infections, it can kind of take out all of your plants. And so most peony farmers use like a regular preventative spraying of fungicides. And I was like, I don't really want to work with fungicides. So like, let's consider like a mixed crop system. But when we decided to be a veggie farm, and we were going to have some flowers, because we were like, oh, like, flowers, they're interesting. All these flower farmers are talking about it. The idea was they were going to be there to beautify the stand, to bring people in to then buy the veggies once they got there. And so, I was like, 10 easy flowers, right? Like, did the research, found easy stuff to grow, figured out a crop plan for it, planted it, grew them, went and picked them. And then I was like in the outbuilding going like, now what do I do with them?
Yeah.
It was like,
it was like the night before.
It was the night before the market, first time with flowers. And I'm like, I don't know how to make a bouquet. I've never in my life made a bouquet. And so I was like, how to make a market bouquet, like on Google. And I got like a Floret article that was like, you need straight pieces, and you need discs, and you need airy pieces, and you do a balance. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Like, there, did it, done. But yeah, so I had the opposite of floral experience.
Yeah.
When we started the farm. I had I don't even think I'd ever bought like a flower for myself.
Yeah, you weren't
like a cut flower. There's no world.
Because you were like a food grower.
Yeah. And
you're also you're cheap.
Yeah.
And so you like to spend money on necessities.
Practical things. Like $10,000 worth of peonies.
Yeah. I'm gonna go inside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I rolled 7.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then...
This is where I am checking out.
Yeah, it's been an hour. I guess we were all unorganized for the first half an hour.
Yeah. Video coming out on Friday. So make sure you check it out.
Vlog.
Like it.
Planting the Lysianthus.
Share it.
And if you guys haven't seen the other one,
comment.
I really liked the last one.
I know.
Planting the ranunculus.
The start of it.
There's a really cute dog.
Oh yeah.
So no one's made a comment about our neighbor's adorable dog. Her name's Roxy, and she's a very good girl.
Oh, she's so cute. So what are people's opinions? I mean,
we can't see. We'd have to go get to the chat.
People obviously love dogs. People obviously love cats. And we assume that maybe our channel, goes towards more cat lovers since we do feature cats. And people like to comment on them. But that video, like Roxy's such a cute girl, and so I imagine she'll be in the videos again. But nobody was commenting on them, so we thought that was kind of funny because the footage seemed adorable. And then this next video, I'm not going to spoil it.
There's some good dogs.
Oh my god, the dogs in it are, it's like we're not a dog channel, and we're not going to be able to keep up this blockbuster pace of dog content. But
okay, well here you go. You're talking about dogs, and someone's asking, how's the newest cat doing?
Yeah.
So do you want to answer that before you go?
Well, he doesn't growl as much anymore, and he doesn't bite us as much anymore.
People might not even know that we have that cat.
Kaya. Yeah.
They might be thinking Dusty. Because Kaya, the first video I think Kaya was in was the video that we just put out.
Yeah. Kaya's our floof. He's a big floofy boy. And he came to us as a badly behaved cat who was stuck in a tiny little apartment and had too much energy and was biting everybody. And so he came here, and now he bites less, which is good. But he's still, he'll growl if he wants
anything. Like you look at him, he's like. Rrr.
When we were first like bringing him to the house, I remember, and he's like walking around. And I was just like laying on the ground, and he like comes right up to my face, and like to sniff me. He's like, and then he's like, Rrr. And I was like, you came up to me. I'm not even moving. But he's cuddly, and he's not like.
Yeah, no, he like loves Ian. He's like the first cat who's like Ian's cat.
Well, other than Mew was originally kind of bonded with me.
Yeah, but he liked all of us.
Yeah, he liked.
But like Kaya likes Ian more than he likes like anyone else.
Yeah.
And he likes Sam too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam will like pick him up and like run around with him, and Kyle will be like, "Rrr," and then like swipe at him or bite at him or something. Be like, put me down. I don't like this. And then he'll go absolutely nowhere, and he'll just like hang out with Sam somewhere. So he just doesn't.
He's a whiner. He's like quick to complain. He's like, he's like a Karen. He's like, let me speak to your manager.
Yeah.
It's like, well, nothing's happened. Like, what are you gonna complain
about?
Oh,
but everybody, make sure you comment about the dogs in the next video.
Yeah, the dogs in the next video are pretty good.
Definitely a personal highlight. Anyways,
but in case anyone's wondering, no, we will never get a dog.
Yeah, no, we don't need dogs.
But like,
now we're surrounded.
How
by
long
dogs.
until we get more cats?
I don't know. That depends.
Because we only have 3.
Yeah.
Someone's asking. Okay, you going?
Yeah, I'm going.
Someone's asking how we protect the cats from flowers and coyotes. And so I've never had a cat who's had issues with like toxic flowers. The only cat I ever had who had an issue with flowers, it wasn't having an issue with flowers outside. She had an issue with flowers inside, which is she wanted to eat flowers because she was a jerk, and she wanted to eat flowers because she wanted to destroy my nice things. And so if I brought flowers in, she'd like eat them to like knock them over and destroy them just to because she knew that it would make me mad at her. So like, oh, sorry. My tripod just fell apart, but I caught my phone, so I didn't break my phone, so that's good. Okay, let's see. Hopefully it doesn't break again. Yeah, so I've never had issues with the flowers outside. I know that like the lilies are supposed to be super poisonous, but like, we have lilies everywhere. It's not like the cats are like, oh, lilies, I want to go hang out and roll around in them. We do have issues with coyotes here. And so what we do is we so the boys, Dusty and Kaya, we keep them in for like any sort of kittens. We keep them in for the first year, like 100% in the house, so that they're like very much like used to being inside cats. And then that makes them kind of cautious when we finally let them outside. And so then they stick with us on the farm. So the cats, they like to hang out with us. They're near us, and then they stay like close on the property. And then we bring them in when it starts to get darker, because that's when the coyotes come out. but we lost we lost two of our cats last year. We lost Buddy um, when and he was like never very well behaved about staying like close to us. He'd like often run off, and so one day he like didn't. Like refused to come back in when it was getting dark, and then the coyotes, we assume, got him. And so our plan, like, because it's, they usually want to come in when it starts to get dark, but to make sure that we're motivating them, because they don't go out in the winter. The coyote, like, there's like periods of time when the coyotes are worse, and we keep them like 100% inside during that time. If we're not outside, we keep them inside. um but and then like sometimes like we'll bring them only to the outbuilding. Sometimes they'll be in the videos and they're like inside in here. We like lock them in just so they can like come and hang out with us, because they like to come into the building down here and like hang out and smell all the weird smells and dig in the things. And then it makes the outbuilding smell like cats, which helps, like, if any sort of rodents were thinking of coming in, having the cat smells kind of help with the rodent stuff. um but yeah, so Buddy got taken out by the coyote. So our new plan is that as soon as the cats go out, if they go like out in the morning, we're gonna take their food away from them, um, which is inside the house, and we won't bring the food back out for them until the evening, so that they won't like come in and eat and then go out, and then when evening comes and then we're like, hey, get back in here, and they'll be like, no, I'm fine, I'm just gonna stay out here. Instead they'll be like, no, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten all day. And so then they'll be motivated by knowing that it's dinner time, to get back inside, because we obviously don't want to lose our cats to coyotes. And then Fatty died of old age. When we moved here, Fatty was already an older cat. We didn't know exactly how old he was, but we knew he was over 10. So Fatty was kind of like 16 or 18 or 20, like who even knows how old he was. And he obviously had not been living the healthiest lifestyle. His brother, when we moved here, it was like him and his brother ended up like getting cancer and dying like the first year that we like lived here. So we knew Fatty was aging into things, and we don't know exactly what it is that happened with him. But he had been kind of like slower. He was a problem cat, Fatty. He was adorable because he was like so fat and so snuggly, but he peed on everything. So he mostly lived in here because this is like where he lived his entire life, but he'd like to come inside. So we let him come inside in the winter, but he'd like be peeing on stuff in the house. It was always really difficult. And he'd always been like a really aggressive, really dominant cat. So he'd like fight and he'd beat up all the cats. Like him and Bo, like, the first year that we moved here, we had like so many vet bills from the cats, like all beating each other up and having to like go and like, get antibiotics for their cat fights and stuff. And then so in the last year, Fatty had been a lot less aggressive. So I knew that he was slowing down, which like made sense for like age and everything. But yes, so our sweet fat boy is gone, which is too bad. But we had him for more years than I thought he was gonna last, considering. Okay, let's see. Is there a difference between row cover and shade cloth? Oh, row cover. Yeah, okay. So I said that earlier. So row cover is like it's made out of the exact same material that like the medical face masks are made out of. So it's breathable, but it's not, like we've all worn the masks before. Like, it does have some like friction, and like, it warms up your face really well when you're hanging out with it. So the row cover, it's designed to hold heat in. It's not designed. it does shade things, but it's mostly designed to be an insulator. And then the shade cloth isn't. The shade cloth is like, it's very open. It's like shockingly open. It doesn't really weigh very much, which is nice for when you're like working with it. But it's a very open, very lightweight mesh, and so it creates shade, but it doesn't block airflow at all. So because that's like the one thing, if you need shade cloth, you probably also need the ventilation. So okay, let's see. I know there was a bunch of questions. Are you looking to diversify into other revenue opportunities using your flowers, like oils? Yeah, so no is so our plan. I mean the one thing that is kind of needs to be understood about the farm is the farm itself is kind of already a diversification of the thing that's making our money, right? Because these videos that we make are where the largest amount of our income comes in, right? Like the video, the content creation, the being an influencer, like we joked about before, is the job that we're doing that's paying the bills. And then we're working at building the farm, so like, the farm is almost like, an additional revenue stream for the content creation. I'm all like, I want the farm to be its own thing. I've always been very focused. I want the farm to pay for itself. I don't want YouTube videos to pay for the farm. I want the farm to cover the cost of like the labor and the expenses and everything. I want it to be its own business. And then like, the content creation can be its own business too. And it can be fine if the content creation makes more money than the farm. But I don't want them dependent 100% on each other, just because it gives like flexibility for what we allow ourselves to do. But because of that, we're less focused on off-season sales than maybe some other farms would be, because we're basically like a farm family who has like a full-time corporate job to pay the bills, right? Like we have a separate job that pays the bills. The farm doesn't have to bring in money over the winter when we're not selling things, for us to be able to still, make our way through the year and afford to buy groceries. So because of the fact that, working on the farm, it's always this balance, right? Like it would be nice if we could make more videos, but we also have the farm, right? Like there's only so many hours in the day, and there's lots and lots of things that we can do. And if the smartest thing for us to do, if we wanted to diversify our income, would be to put more effort into the content creation, because it has the best, it has the most profitable outcomes from it. So before we worried, it's like what we're doing with all these dried flowers. We dried way more flowers than we needed, and partially because we didn't realize how many flowers we were drying. It was just we'd been in this routine for all these years of, leftover flowers, dry them, put them away to sell for dried flowers, which was great. It worked wonderful when we had a 2,000 square foot flower farm, when we had a 4,000 square foot flower farm. But when we had the entire farm as a flower farm, drying 5% of the flowers every week meant that there was a lot of dried flowers. So it was more than we needed. And sure, we could do all these things to try to do something with the dried flowers. We could, put all this labor into trying to sell all these dried flowers that we've like created. But at the end of the day, we're better off to just throw them into the compost pile and then make another video, right? Like, because rather than spending all that time trying to deal with the dried flowers. That this is a concept. This is a business concept. It's called sunk cost fallacy, which is it's easy to be like, I did all this work to save these dried flowers, so now I need to keep reinvesting into the work, even though the amount of money I'm going to get out of it is so minimal that it doesn't make sense to give more time to the dried flowers, because I've already sunk so much cost into them. And so on the farm, I'm always like very focused on trying to not, right? Because our time is our most finite resource. So I don't want to spend it unwisely, even if I have already in the past spent it unwisely. I want to instead be like, no, you made a mistake, learn from that mistake, and, you know, stay focused on the best things to do. And like this kind of goes back into like a question that a few people were kind of asking, which is about more content. And like someone was asking, like, would we get someone to edit our videos? And like a bunch of people are commenting that they'd like to see more videos from us. And one of the things that we really want to do this year is that we do want to make more videos. We can't, the way we're making the videos right now, we can't hire someone to help us with the editing because we take so long to edit our videos, and the way that we've like been putting them together, right? Like the last video that I put out, I started with 7 hours of footage to edit it, right? And so our goal is to make it like, so in the past, we've been spending, you know, like 30 hours to make these videos, these half an hour videos. And if we had to actually pay someone to edit them, it would cost more money than what we're making to be able to do it. We've been, you know, not pay, like we've been spending too much of our time on the videos, and it's made it so we haven't been able to make more videos. And so we're working this year on, you know, doing labor analysis and efficiency. You know, there's a book, Ben Hartman, I think it is, Lean Farming. It's all about like how to like streamline your farming practices so that, you know, you can do things in the best possible way. And we've always tried to be like, hey, how can we do this better? How can we do this more efficient? Where's like the stop gaps that we have in our systems on the farm? But we haven't really done very much of that on the YouTube, and so, or the video creation. And so now we're like, hey, it'd be a good idea to do some of that on the video creation and be like, hey, did we need to spend 30 hours to make this video? Or could we make this video in 15 hours and then we can actually make 2 videos in the week? Because we know that all of you would really appreciate if, you'd all appreciate if we could have more videos. And so this year, that's what we're going to try to do. Our plan, and we're slowly working up to it because, you know, we need to learn how to be able to do that. But so our goal is to try to get into a rhythm where we can have 2 videos a week. Fingers crossed. But at very least, maybe we'll have 6 a month rather than like 3 or 4 a month. And then we want to try to get some shorter form videos. You know, I know that a lot of you guys have questions, and we like doing these live videos as a way to like, you know, just quickly answer questions for everyone. Because the great thing about these live videos is, you know, you ask questions, I give you the answers, the work's done for me. I don't have to go and edit the video. But I know that these live videos are also less consumable than some of the other video content for, you know, there is a percentage of you guys who like it and you say that you enjoy it because it functions like a podcast, which is great. It's a podcast that I don't have to edit. Amazing. But I also like, we could make short videos for specific questions, and then they'd be a little bit more searchable and a little bit more consumable for, you know, the broader audience. So that's something else that we're hoping to be able to do this year. So, okay, there's another question, and I'll scroll down to the bottom because I have the chat stopped. So if you guys have been talking to me, are there any seeds that are too late to start at this point? Oh, that's a good question. I thought that it said like, are you still, did I thought the question when I first glanced at it was like, what are you still planting? Because it's like, oh, everything, almost everything. But there are, yeah, so I'm a zone 5 here. May 1st is our last frost date, give or take, right? It's all general. Um, but so at this point, it's very cold this year. I normally would be really far behind on everything for where I'm at for what I've seeded, but I've kind of delayed my seeding schedule. I've kind of taken 2 weeks off because the weather's been so cold. I haven't been. It would be foolish to start things ahead of time. But so I'm done with the cool flowers for the year. So in as seedlings at this point in time, I'm still doing cool flowers but direct seeding them. So like I said this earlier, but like tomorrow it was supposed to be done today and I didn't get it done today, but I'm planting larkspur, biplorum, saponaria. These are flowers that need some cool weather to germinate. And then inside I have status, straw flowers, feverfew, rudbeckia, scabiosa, yarrow. I'm like mentally like that's what I have. And then snapdragons. Um, so those I have started already. And for me, I could still start a lot of those now and it would be fine. Um, but they're going to do better if I plant them out, having to be able to give the plants some cooler weather. They'll be happier plants. They'll grow. They'll bloom on taller stems. They'll be bigger, lusher flowers because of the cool weather that they get. But I could still start those from seed right now, and it would be fine. Or I could plant those out direct seed, right? Like at this time of year, if I hadn't already started straw flower status, feverfew, like all those things, it would be a great time for me to go and actually be direct seeding it. Let's say I have landscape fabric, just put seeds in and then take care of them outside because they'll actually really like germinating in that colder weather. Stuff that is too late, things like Lysianthus, it's too late. Like those, January is too late. You got to start them in like December. They're crazy. That's why I bought them as plugs. Other perennials, it would be if you want, and for perennials, it would be about it not being too late, but it would be about it being too late to get flowers this year. So I'm going to experiment this year with feverfew, planting more feverfew kind of like in the next week so that I can hopefully get a flush, like a summer blooming of feverfew, because the feverfew only blooms once. But things like, so I started my Fama scabiosa and yarrow. Those, there's a good chance that I'll get like blooms off of them this year. But if I started yarrow right now, I don't know that I'd be able to have it flower this year. But perennials, and so I started some echinops that for sure isn't going to flower this year. But a lot of those like perennials, if you get them planted early enough, you might get a few stems in your first year. But if you haven't planted it yet, a great time to plant those perennials is, maybe do them in like May or June when your seedling period is kind of slowed down, and you can grow them inside for a bit and then plant them out in the fall, and then they'll bloom kind of in the next year. So rather than like rushing to get them now and you're not going to get blooms anyways, you can save them for a quieter time of the year. And then other stuff that I'm going to be starting like now are things like my foliages, like though, those are kind of like perennials. Like I'm going to be doing, I'm excited. I'm going to try euphorbia this year for the first time. I'm going to be doing, it's new. It's like not in my head. Safflower. I don't know why. I can't think of the name for it. But there's a few things that I'm going to be growing as like greenery filler that I'm going to be starting now that'll be kind of blooming in the summer. Anise hyssop. I think my anise hyssop died over the winter, so I need to start a bunch of that. I like bee balm. I have a bee balm that I'm going to be starting. And so these are things that are perennials, but not necessarily perennials in my area. And so I'm going to be starting them and planting them out. Like, so the stuff that I'm planting now, I'm going to be thinking that I'm going to be harvesting it in the summer, right? The seeds that I'm starting now are for like early summer picks, or like later into the summer. And then, you know, in a week I can start doing my warmer weather crops, because I like to start 2 weeks before my last frost date, because if my last frost date is if it's just empty. Okay, if my last frost, so I aim for May 1st. That's like kind of best case scenario, last frost, but it's the weather. You never know what's going to happen for the weather, right? And so if it's cold, I want to be able to hold those crops in the tray before planting them out. So if I start them a month ahead of time, because at a month they're going to need to get planted out, and then it's really cold May 1st, and I need to delay till May 10th, let's say, then the plants are going to be really sad and really struggling by the time I do plant them out. And it's basically going to set me back a lot, even though I started them even earlier. So I'm better off to have my plants started only 2 weeks early. If the weather's amazing, I can plant them out at 2 weeks old. And so things like that are like cosmos and zinnias, stuff that, you know, I can also do direct seed. But, you know, I buy myself like a week or two by doing some early. So I'm better off to plant them out at only 2 weeks old if the weather's nice, than I am to have it at 4 weeks old, which is kind of the perfect window for them. And because what if I have to plant them out at 6 weeks old? Because if I have to plant them out at 6 weeks old, the 6-week-old plants bloom at the same time as the direct seeded plants, because the 6-week-old plants are so stunted from being like overgrown and root bound in the seed trays that it doesn't actually buy me any time. I don't know if that made sense. but yeah, so that's kind of like a planting schedule. And like I'll lose track. Like, you know, like the flowers are the hardest. The flowers are the hardest of all, because you need to be so far ahead in your planning for flowers. You know, like, so I just ordered peonies, and I was super late on ordering the peonies, and they're not going to come here until like the end of October. And I'm also like, oh, I didn't order my tulips in time. I'm super late on tulips. Some of my tulip varieties that I like to order might be sold out because I didn't order them early enough. And like my tulips haven't even started popping out of the ground. So, and like when I say ordering tulips, I mean I'm too late in ordering tulips for 2024. So, you know, the planning is just, it's crazy for the flowers. Like, you need to really be on top of things. And so, you know, the thing I always tell myself is, and like I was kind of saying this earlier in the video when I talked about like if I lose crops to pests or lose crops to funguses, it's fine, right? Like I do a mixed system, right? It's not like I only grow one thing, right? And that was the reason why like the peony farm was scary. If you only grow one thing and you mess it up, like you've messed up the entire farm. But you know, if you have like a thing that you really wanted to grow this year and you didn't get it seeded in time and it's too late, rather than scrambling and trying to do it this year, because there's all these other things that you can still do. You know, it's like it's seed. It doesn't go bad. Save it for next year. Get it done at the right time, and you know, you'll be fine without it, right? And that's what I tell myself. It's like there's gonna be lots. There's gonna be lots without, you know, the one thing that I didn't get done. Okay, so there was one last question. Oh, here, are you thinking Biplorum? Yeah, but I direct seed that. I can't start it. It's a larkspur, Biplorum, though, like, I can't start them as plugs. And also, like, my goal is always, if I can direct seed it, to direct seed it. Because I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to save time. Time is my most finite resource. Seeds are cheap. Even when seeds are expensive, seeds are still cheap compared to what my time costs. So like if I can direct seed and not have to plant plugs and take care of like plugs inside my house, that all makes me happy. Okay, so there's a question. It was like way forever ago, and I'll answer this, and then I need to get going because I need to do bedtime for the kids. Ian started, but I have to go help him out. So the question was about farm planning. And I thought it was a great question because they're like, oh, what's the plan going to be going forward? And so from the beginning, we've been talking about like a 5-year plan. And this year is our 5th year on the farm, right? So this is like the, coming to the end of the 5-year plan. Yes and no, right? Like we're not we're not actually where oh, here, this is a good question that I can answer quickly, so I'm going to interrupt. Do I keep a garden journal? And the answer to that is I do. My Instagram account is my garden journal. Oh, yes, thank you, Jennifer. And I'm gonna schedule a members live. That's been on my to-do list. I need to, but yes, thank you, because I should do that as soon as I get off of this, so I don't forget. Yeah, so like for garden planning, I like using Instagram as my garden journal because I'll like take a picture and then I'll post it, and then I have like the posting date, so it'll be like, oh, this happened at then, and then I like can scroll through it and be like, oh, like this happened then at that year. It's not a great system. But I'm also pretty good at keeping track. Like I'm not very organized, but I'm good at keeping a lot of things in my head. Oh, thanks so much, Jennifer. The stickers are always so funny to me. Yeah, so like I keep track of a lot of stuff just in my head, which is bad. Don't do that. Like the way that you should do it, and don't use Instagram either. The way that people should, if you're a farmer and if you want to do a proper like tracking for everything, you should learn how to use spreadsheets. Spreadsheets make me want to like die inside. I'm very bad. I'm really bad at like computer technology stuff, which makes me laugh because we make videos. But yeah, if you can track things on spreadsheets, it makes your life a lot easier, and then it's a lot easier to sort it. I don't know how to use them, but people have showed me they're like farm planning spreadsheets, and I'm like, wow, that looks intimidating to me, but yeah, there's some great info there. Okay, so 5-year plan. What is the plan? So from the beginning, the goal for the farm, our 5-year plan, you can go back. We made like a video, I think, before we even like cut into the ground. That was like, this is our 1-year plan. This is our 5-year plan. We've been talking about our 5-year plan from the beginning, and we've been very focused on that like long-term goal. And it's part of the reason why we do things that don't necessarily make sense in the moment. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense. And we always are trying to do the thing that makes the most sense for the 5-year plan rather than the thing that makes the most sense for in the moment, right? So one of the classic like things that people always think we should do is delivery for bouquets, right? It was like you could sell more bouquets if you delivered bouquets, but we always knew that we didn't want to do delivery, and that delivery would be it would be difficult for us to build a floral delivery service along with the farm, right? Like that would be it wouldn't be much work to deliver 10 bouquets, but we knew from the get-go that we wanted to, sell $100,000 a year. So if we were to sell $100,000 with delivery, now that's like a full-time job's worth of delivery. So we were like, no, we're better off to, instead of focusing on that, to focus on this, because this will allow us to achieve that, doing $100,000, in the way that is best suited to what we enjoy doing, right? So our plan from the beginning was to make $100,000 gross a year. And the reason why we've always been aiming for the 100,000 number, 100K or bust, is that's the number that would allow us to have an employee and to cover the investments, the annual investments that you have to like make into the business. And then it would allow me to take out in the form of a wage, about $30,000 or $35,000, right? So and these numbers aren't like, wow, Serina, it's because you spend too much money on on buying $10,000 worth of peonies. These are pretty consistent numbers for farms and for flower farms too. A third of your gross is your net. These are like kind of the numbers that people say is how it works. So because we were always very focused on by year 5 hitting 100K, it was always like, well, how are we going to do that? What's going to be the sales method, right? Because if we want to gross 100K, it means we have to sell 100K, right? So it's not just can I grow 100,000 stems for $1 each? Anyone can do that. That's very easy. The problem is building the ability to sell 100K stems for $1 each, right? Like you need what you can grow, what you can sell, all of that. So, we've always been working towards this balance of what we can grow, what we can sell, and just constantly working towards trying to hit this 100K number. Part of it is like, can we extend the season, right? Because so where we are, last frost date is May 1st. First frost is usually in October. So it's May, June, July, August, September, October. So 6 months, and that's to end of October. That's kind of like 5 months guaranteed frost free. That's like, 20 weeks. If we have 20 weeks and we want to do 100K, that means we have to sell 5K a week. It's like, okay, how do we do that, right? Like what we're selling at the farmer's market, like if we're having $1,000 markets, then we need 5 markets. Can we actually have $5,000 markets? Well, like where are we going to get the labor to go to market 5 times a week? Okay, like 5,000, that's a hard number to hit. What if we grew for 25 weeks? What if we have some season extension, which is what we currently are working with. Our current season of selling is 25 weeks. And that is with flowers going till only mid-October. Because flowers can be a little bit earlier than veggies because of tulips. And with veggies, we were able to go a bit later. So we had the 25-week season too. So 25 weeks means $4,000 a week. And now that's a little bit more doable. So, our plan all along was that we wanted to have on-farm sales and then the farmer's market. And our Saturday farmer's market, we always assumed it would be able to do $1,500. And then there's a Wednesday farmer's market that we thought we could probably do $1,000 at. And we were really struggling with veggies to get the Saturday markets to the $1,000 mark. When we were like, we should have been able to comfortably get to $1,000 at our Saturday market. And then we should have been able to get to 1,000 and then built to the 1,500. So when we realized that things just weren't working out the way we needed them to work out, that is when we made the pivot to more flowers, because we saw the flowers were selling really well. We were having these $1,000 markets. And when we looked at the numbers, it was like, hey, $500-$600 of that market was flowers, where we just had a handful of buckets and the entire table was veggies. If 50% of our sales are coming from flowers, what if we pivot to purely flowers, give it more space, more impact at the market? Will that bring our sales? And then when we did that, last year, we're like, oh, finally it's working. Easy to do $1,000 at the market, and our best markets ever were topping over the $1,500 mark. So it's like, okay, yeah, for sure. Going into this year, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to average our markets in at the $1,500 on the Saturdays. Then we've been working for the on-farm sales. So the on-farm sales is now, it's slowly morphed. It was like, oh, maybe we'd have veggie boxes, like a CSA kind of idea. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do this. But we slowly realized, no, we have this great location of the front of the road. We can build this self-serve roadside stand. We've kind of slowly developed over the 5 years that, okay, this is a great system. This system is going to work. And it seems really easy for us to say that we're going to be able to do $1,500 at the roadside stand this year. Last year we did more at the roadside stand than we did at the farmers market. I think the number, I can't remember the numbers. I'd have to go back and watch the video where we go over the numbers. But I think we did $30,000 at the roadside stand. So, it yet again, easy to imagine going into our second year of having the roadside stand full time, putting some effort into landscaping up at the front of the road to make it more appealing, more noticeable, doing a little bit more advertising. We didn't do as much advertising as we wanted to do last year. So we grow our business. Easy to imagine that the roadside stand is going to be able to do $1,500 a week. So now one market, one roadside, and the roadside stand, we're at 3,000. We take on a Wednesday market at 1,000. We've hit our $4,000, 100K. We've done it. we were like, yes, we're going to do it this year, 100%. Yay. Like, we're on track. Year 5, 100K. But in order to be able to do the roadside stand and 2 markets a week, as well as, run the other business, because the idea for the farm all along was that Ian was still going to work. He was going to help me, but I was going to be the full-time job of the farm, and Ian was still going to be able to, have work in another way so that we weren't 100% dependent on the farm income. It ended up being that the content creation is the second job that works in conjunction with the farm, which isn't what we really thought it was going to be, but we're happy for that because we like being home. But yeah, so for to be able to do all of those things that we want to do for sales as well as grow, right? Like, so $4,000 a week, we do $20 bouquets. That would mean 200 bouquets. When I do those videos where I'm arranging the bouquets and I'm up till 5 a.m, which is like, it's because I harvested flowers all day, and I'm a night owl. Like, I don't mind staying up till 5 a.m. Like, I'm out there up till 5 a.m. And then I go to bed and I sleep till like 11 o'clock and like get 6 hours of sleep, and and then I go on with my day. So I'm not like getting no sleep. But it's not a sustainable system. The idea is to get everything a little bit more in order, more organized, more of a pattern that can be sustained. Something that just works a lot better. And so this year we were going to have an employee just to be able to produce all that, right? Because sure, I can produce 100 bouquets, but 200 bouquets, that's a lot of bouquets. Maybe it would be nice to have someone else working with me, someone else working with me on the Friday. And now instead of me working for 12 hours to make 100 bouquets, 2 of us can work for 8 hours and make 150 bouquets, right? So having a full-time employee would have given us the labor that we would have needed to not kill ourselves and be able to hit those numbers. But we decided we just wanted a little bit more flexibility. We don't like the hitting 100K this year is more about just like achieving our goals on our timeline than it is about like any sort of monetary need. The hitting 100K was about being like, woohoo, we said we'd do it in 5 years and we did it. But if we can, like I said before, like any focus that we give to the content creation is actually a better use of our time. So we decided to scale back, get a little bit more like work-life balance this year. And instead of bringing on an employee, because we've had an employee before. And when we had an employee, what it did is our production went way up, but that just put more pressure onto the sales end of things. And if there's only so much you can, like, how much you produce doesn't matter. It's about matching your production to your sales. And so if we don't necessarily want to be going really, really hard on sales this year, then we don't want to be going really, really hard on production. So what we've decided instead this year is that we're going to try to get a better workflow. We're going to make sure that the Saturday farmers market is working even better. We're going to refine it. We're going to do even better at the Saturday market. We're going to do even better at the roadside stand. We're going to build the roadside stand sales. We're going to get into like a weekly schedule of like, we do this on Mondays, we do this on Tuesdays, right? Like we're going to settle in to a schedule that works. And like last year, the farm did $60,000. And so it's easy to imagine a world where we do exactly what we did last year, but we make 75 just because we're doing just a little bit better. There's just a little bit less waste. That's not a huge amount of growth. That doesn't have us hitting our 100,000, but it definitely has us ready to hit that 100,000 as soon as we want to like up our production by bringing in more labor. So that's the 5-year plan. We've started talking about the next 5-year plan, right? Because, like you get to the 5-year plan, like, life goes on. You got to keep planning for what you want and what you want to achieve. And the plan kind of all along for year 5 to year 10 is, year 0 to year 5, you create a system. You prove to yourself that the system works, right? You prove to yourself that I thought there would be this market. There was this market. It has slowly built. It is shown that this is going to be a success. Oh, there's a moth. There's a moth in my house. Oh, there's a moth in with all my dried flowers. That's a disaster right there because it could get in and eat all my dried flowers. I gotta go kill it after. So for the first 5 years, you create a business structure that works and that has been proven to work, right? That's the plan. And then for the next 5 years, what you do is you refine that business structure and then you like settle into it and you start to actually like be able to reap the benefits. My neighbor with the cherry orchard, perfect example. He doesn't do it he has a 5-year plan instead of a 10-year plan. But so what he does is year 0 to 3, he grows his cherry trees. He puts in little baby cherry trees, he grows his cherry trees, like amazing. And then year 3 to 5 is all harvest, all profit. That's when he makes the money that pays for all the labor that he stacked on in those first years. And then, if he loses his lease at 5 years, he's fine. He's actually made a profit. He's paid for his labor and all of that. So we've been investing, right? We've been investing into knowledge, in making mistakes and trying things and growing things that didn't work out or growing things that did work out and then finding better ways to grow it, right? We've been investing into infrastructure, right? Like I'm looking around the outbuilding, which doesn't even have that much infrastructure in it. And I'm surrounded by tables, I'm surrounded by racks, I'm surrounded by lights. I have the ability to grow tens of thousands of seedlings. I have like a system for how to grow seedlings. I have farm tools to be able to take care of the farm. I've built tunnels. We've built a roadside stand. We've built all of like the display. We have an entire market system set up for being able to go down to the farmer's market. That all was our first year. Like I go back and I look at it, it's like, yeah, we had a folding table and we had some steamer trays and, we had these paper signs that we made, but we've slowly built it all into a system. We've slowly been investing. We spend $10,000 on peonies, right? Like we spend like all this money just gets dumped into the farm, and all this learning, all this labor. And so now we're at the point that we're like, okay, we know what works. We know what to do. We know how to do it. And I knew that this was going to happen because I knew that this was the plan and I knew that this is how businesses work. But I'm really feeling the aging into the more mature business, in this season specifically. The fact that I'm not worried as much about like the seeding and the seedlings. It's like, yeah, I know that it will be fine, right? Like the knowing that a crop is going to fail. Like I've had crops fail so many times that being like, oh, this crop is failing doesn't give me like anxiety and fear, because I'm like, it's fine. Like I have another crop. It's not going to wreck the business. Like, so I feel comfortable like moving through the year. It's a lot less of mental and emotional strain to be doing the things that used to be just like really, really challenging in those first years, when it was like every little thing was so important. Like we could go down to the market, we could have like a horrible market, like stinky market, come home with 100 bouquets, and I wouldn't be like, oh no, the business is failing. I'd be like, it's fine, like it happens, like it was rainy, like there was an event like downtown, no one came to the market, it's like it'll be fine next week. um like and then like the work too, right? Like someone made a comment that I thought was really fun on the video, because I was doing like my number thing. I was like, if I have this many plants, it will take me this many years to like do this. um and they were like, oh, it just really stressed me out once you started talking about the numbers. And I've seen it with Ian too, where I'm like, oh, it takes me like 2 hours per bed if I plant 400 seedlings. Ian will see like the racks and racks full of seedlings, and he'll be like, oh no, oh, like he'll start to feel really overwhelmed. But I'm like, no, it takes me 2 hours to plant a bed. Like a single rack on a rack tray is a bed. I can plant, if I work for 8 hours today, which is like a normal work day, I can get 4 beds planted, and that's like almost an entire rack tray. So we only have 4 rack trays, and so even if they're completely filled and they need to get planted out, that's only a week worth of Ian's destroying the video. Is only a week's worth of work. And in the past, I would have looked at it and been like, oh no, so much. But now I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's a week's worth of work. And then when I'm done that, I know what I'll be doing in the next week. Just because that's how businesses are. You like mature into a system, you get used to the flow of everything. So back to the original question of, what's the next plan? The plan is, Ian's calling, which is good because I'm getting to the end of my point. The plan is that we are aging into that time when Ian's heckling me. He's heckling me, and I'm losing my point. No, so in the next 5 years, or not even, we're aging into that time where it becomes routine. It becomes a pattern, right? We know what we need to do. We get out there and we do it. And what also happens for the money side is, because the truth of the numbers is we've invested a lot of money into the farm. The original, we knew it was going to cost a lot of money. Our original plan was that we were going to invest $100,000 to build the farm. And I think that we're probably closer, like we're definitely at 150. And I think that, probably we need to be sitting in at about $200,000 invested into the farm for it to be a farm system that we can get $100,000 out of every year. And as we go into year 5 to 10, we're going to get that money back out, right? We're going to pay for that investment, right? So as we go into year 5 to 10, I'm not necessarily going to be like making $100,000. It's still going to be I'm going to make $35,000 a year off the farm. It's going to be like a great minimum wage job. But we'll be able to take some of those monetary investments and pay them off, right? We won't have to buy $10,000 worth of peonies again because we've already bought it, but we'll be able to take money that we're making to pay for having bought that $10,000 worth of peonies, right? And so, we'll be able to, know going into the year that it'll be easy to sell $4,000 a week So we don't have to be stressed out about the cost of having an employee that will help me produce the flowers to be able to sell $4,000 a week. We'll know that it's covered. That'll just be part of the system. And, and we'll start to pay back some of that investment. And then with, a farm business, because this is how farm businesses work. You don't really make a lot of money in farming because it's your kids who make money in farming. Because after you've paid for that investment in the 10 years, now you have year 15, and obviously you need to like upgrade equipment, but maybe as you upgrade it, it makes it more efficient and you get even more money out of the system, right? And then it's kind of like, oh, year 10 to year 20, maybe you can make, maybe now it's not a minimum wage job. Maybe year 10 to year 20, I can actually pull $50,000 off the farm out of that 100K that we're gonna sell. So that is the plan. That is the plan. But yeah, I know, like, I've given up. All winter I was like 100K or bust, 100K or bust. Now I'm eating my words. Now it's bust. But I think year 6, I think we can do 100K next year. Like I feel really confident that we can do 75 this year, and next year we'll be like organized. We'll bring on an employee and we'll do 100K. I think it's gonna work out. Okay, I have to go because Ian's gonna murder me because he's heckled me and phoned me. But thanks so much for hanging out. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these videos. We're gonna try to prioritize making real videos more than doing one of these every week. But we really enjoy doing the live videos. We like hanging out with all of you guys, and we like seeing your questions. So we'll definitely be doing them again. And I'm gonna work on getting the members live video for the month going too, because I know I think that I missed last month's. The days are disappearing. This is my problem. I'm like, I know what I need to do in week 14 and 15 on the farm. The problem is I just forget what day it is. I lose track of the days, and then I lose track of the weeks, and I lose track of the months. But maybe that's what happens in year 5 to 10. Maybe I can start to know what day it is. That'd be a good plan. Okay, thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll see you again.